Touchdown! Oh, did you see that? Whoa, we scored?
Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
What? I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride.
Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Welcome to the 34 Motorsports Product Showcase. We're proud to offer the full line of Simpson Racing safety products. The Shark Speedway is a perfect brain bucket to keep your melon as safe as possible. We carry every model and size of Hans device, and these have saved countless lives. The Hybrid Pro Lite is an alternative to the Hans device and is just as effective. The DNA 3-layer suit offers maximum protection when things get hot. And hey dude, those comfy shoes won't help one bit when things go south. Keep those hands ready to work with a pair of Vortex FIA gloves meeting every current standard. From 5 to 7 points, we carry every one of the Simpson harnesses, keeping your rear end right where it should be. Keep all your gear clean and together with the helmet and FHR bag, and always be ready to hop in a race car. Visit 34motorsports.com and order today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to more iRacing action here on the National Racing Network. As tonight, the stars and cars of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship are taking on Road Atlanta. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. James Watson. And, well, James, we were having a bit of a spirited discussion before the broadcast about our personal thoughts and some of the drivers' thoughts on Road Atlanta. This place, I give it a little bit of a hard time, but there's absolutely no denying that Road Atlanta is a blast to watch a really tight field run at.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Like, the first sector is how a racetrack should be, with all kinds of fast, blind corners with a lot of elevation change, just holding on for dear life the entire way through. Like, this track is absolutely phenomenal. Well, especially when you have, like, several different classes running around, i.e. Petit Le Mans.
Yeah, it is... to say fun is probably an understatement. By the way, qualifications just getting underway here, picking up with David Porcelli as he's making his way out onto the racetrack. And while working, let's see, take a look at the numbers. He is working his outlap. In fact, just about to go green here on lap number 1 for David Porcelli. And we do have the side-by-sides available for you here as well tonight. So we'll get those pulled up here in just a second. take a look at the guy who is entering the race, I should say, second in points on the night. And let's see here. Now we got him for you. Right-hand side of your screen is going to be Chris Preston. Left-hand side is David Porcelli. Entering the night, it is a 141-point gap between David Porcelli and Chris Preston. However, Porcelli has 6 weeks counted. Chris Preston only is counting 5 to this point. Looking at the overall point standings, quite frankly, pretty insane. Kylo Ciacelli, 4th in the overall standings out of Division 2. Richard Holt, Brian Labarge, and Stephen Thompson, Carl Lemkool, all inside the top 10 out of Division 2. Dylan Vilashinsky, leading Division 3, is 11th in the point standings. Nee Camargo, leading Division 4, is 16th overall. Ben Carswell, leading Division 5, is 17th overall. There are so many different things going on at once here, James. A lot to keep track of. First, we got to get to qualifying, though, and talk about what we're going to see here out of David Porcelli and Chris Preston. Mano y mano is kind of what the thought process is going to be here on how this thing's going to go tonight.
Pretty much, yeah. They've got free reign to just battle it out. You just want to see them smart about it, because I know they were battling it out pretty hard at this race at the beginning of last season, and it ended up not going great for either of them, and Graham Sanders was able to pull the win. So hopefully they've learned from that. And they're able to put together the second lap for Chris is not going to count.
Yeah, lap number 2 for Chris Preston will not score. He's going to have to rely on lap number 1. And I was about to say it was a good one, but now he's already going to be back to 4th as Ted Burns and Richard Holt going to jump him, as does Nicholas Daly. So does Nagisa Yoshikawa. This is huge for the championship standings here. Everett Paddock getting up to 2nd on the board. Pick up Kylo Ciacelli. He's the only other driver that's really going to have a chance to get laps turned here. He is working lap number 1. Everybody else is done. Porcelli, Paddock, Daly, Yoshikawa, and Teddy B, the top 5. Teddy B, a name that we haven't seen a ton this season here in the Indy Pro 2000 Championship.
No, well, Teddy B's busy with real-life race cars and stuff, but now with World Motorsport starting to turn closer and closer to the off-season, now he's got more time to join us back here in the series. But yeah, that's a big mistake, Chris. This is one of the worst tracks to screw up your second lap, because there's a lot of fast, high-speed corners that require a lot of lateral grip. A level of lateral grip you're not really going to get until that second lap. So this was a very bad place to mess up lap 2.
Yeah, quite frankly, there's a whole lot that you really don't want to be doing in terms of screwing up that second lap. Like you mentioned, the lateral grip, that comes from the tire warmth. Something to consider are the weather conditions here. Let's take a look and see what they look like. Yeah, only 65-degree ambient, 67-degree track temp. You really need lap 2 to be the good one. It's just going to take you that long to get the tires anywhere close to temperature.
Seriously, yeah. But man, crazy to see such cool track. It's gonna be a fast race.
Yeah, it is very, very quick is what this race is going to be here this evening. And quite frankly, we're looking forward to it. I give Road Atlanta a bit of a hard time. The whole first sector to me is just one that, quite frankly, I don't get. It doesn't make sense to me.
That's why it's great. Corners aren't supposed to make sense. They're not.
Okay. You're entitled to your own personal wrong opinion here. Is
My God.
Following along with Kylo.
Boo this man! Boo!
There's a whole lot of hate I am expecting to see in the comments here eventually. But looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in on Twitch and on YouTube. We thank you for hanging out with us here. And qualifications are done. It is time to go racing here at Road Atlanta. Let's take a look, see who is out on the grid. We'll pick up Mr. Ted Burns, and we'll get ready to show you the starting grid for tonight's race. 28 cars on the entry list in 2 splits of 14. Going to be a pretty monster strength of field. 37-15. Wow. That's getting it done, boys. Well done. David Porcelli, Everett Paddock on the front row. How about identical to the 1,000th lap times? Porcelli and Paddock separated by .000. All right.
Good.
A little disappointed that Nicholas Daly couldn't go full Heinz Harald Frentzen and make it 3 cars with identical lap times, but we'll give it to him. Daly going to line up 3rd tonight alongside Nagisa Yoshikawa. Ted Burns, Richard Holt on row number 3. Row 4 is going to have Chris Preston and Carl Lemkool. Preston's got some work to do if he wants to catch up to Porcelli here in the championship standings after this evening. Kylo Ciacelli and Wes Shire on row number 5. Nice run there for Wes to put it inside the top 10. Mike Collard, Daniel Smith on row number 6. Row 7 will have Dylan Vilashinsky and Stephen C. Thompson. Bunch of names there. Wes Shire, possibly Mike Collard, Dan Smith, Stephen Thompson. A lot of these guys we're going to see coming up here very shortly in the TNT Shock Series, making its triumphant return to the National Racing Network. The field's starting to roll off. Everybody is on the grid. And James, let's talk through a lap here. Turn 1 can be a little bit tricky. It can kind of sneak up on you. And then you start up the hill, and then it depends. Just guess which access road you want to take, I guess.
Yeah, this is the worst part about here is trying to figure out which one to go down. It's crazy how many times you guess wrong. And then try to hit the apex for turn 2, who very rarely do you actually hit it on point. You're either about 3 feet off, or you're cutting it and getting slapped with the biggest slowdown. Now, right there, that's not that difficult right here. This has to be one of the toughest corners. This is where you need all that lateral grip, because you're just taking at such a high rate, and it's the curbing, how it's shaped, it's not like a perfect circle, so you kind of have to figure out the way you want to hit it and clip it, and then you're just having all that speed carry you on to the exit curbing, which is ridiculously bumpy. If you're not careful, it will send you into the inside wall with a force.
Yes,
and then
there's so many places to just, it's not even make a mistake, it's a slight miss is really all that it is. Then you end up screaming up the not straight back straightaway. Somehow they used to land 737s on this. It used to be straighter than it is now, but it was never fully straight. And then you're kind of into the back half of the lap where it's all about carrying the speed up, and there are so many places, quite frankly, dumb places to attempt to pass. But every year it seems like in Petit Le Mans, you're going to see Ricky Taylor make some kind of bonsai move into this corner.
And that's why this chicane is one of the best chicanes in all of racing, because you can make those crazy moves and you can actually be side by side with another car.
Yeah,
the way a chicane should be.
That's it. You're up the hill, you're down the hill, through the big sweeping right-hander. We're getting ready to go green flag racing, and as always, fans, start of this one's going to be all yours. Man, absolute monster start for David Porcelli. That was big. A little bit
he
deeper
hit
back
the
in.
afterburners.
He was on it at the first possible instant. Everybody's single file snaking their way through the S's. Man, I'll tell you. Ooh, this gap is huge for Porcelli. At 0.8 of a second, he's almost out of draft range.
Yeah, it looked like Everett got a good exit, but I think David might have it. I tell you, Chris is really on the comeback train. He's made up a couple spots already, and he's trying to make up a few more.
Let's bring this one up here. Race leaders on the left-hand side of your screen. Chris Preston and his battle on the right-hand side. It's going to be Daly, Burns, Preston, and Holt. One lap very quickly in the books. The gap down to 0.6 of a second between Porcelli and Paddock. So Paddock's getting himself back within draft range. Nagisa Yoshikawa pretty clearly holding up Nicholas Daly and that whole train of cars, as the gap there already up to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, we might already just have a two-horse race here.
Quite frankly, it may be a one-horse race. At the rate that David Porcelli is going, he's got the gap back up to 0.8 of a second. If he can manage that, oh man, we had one getting off track just a little bit. Daly coming around Yoshikawa as well. Those two are going to stay side by side. Pick up this fight. It's going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Yoshikawa already back 2 spots after gaining 1 at the start. Now Yoshikawa's going to have to deal with Chris Preston.
Yeah, nice little set of moves by the 2 downforce cars to get by Yosh. 2x2 entering a chicane. You love to see it. Oh boy.
That is so gutsy. That'd be up to 3rd. He's gained a couple of spots. Dylan Vilashinsky having it off track. Now Burns able to get around Daly. He's going to start to try to chase down Everett Paddock, but that gap sitting at 2.8 seconds, and it's still 3/4 of a second at the front of the field.
Oh, I just love watching cars go through this section, man. You could tell Chris was really thinking about making some sort of crazy outside move.
I'll tell you what, it was one of the things I said in the pre-race. I cannot stand this as a driver's track. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like Road Atlanta. Watching a race at Road Atlanta, oh my God, is it fantastic.
You just need time and experience. When you figure out where you actually have to go, that's when it's at its best.
Yeah, I would say that's probably some of it. Is once you get a handle on where you want to be, I would imagine this is a very different feeling racetrack. So many, I mean, even that final corner that runs off camber, that's a true test of a driver, is being able to run down the hill and off camber and keep the car going where you want it to. That's not easy.
It's not, no. Yeah, what I talked about earlier, like Richard may have missed the apex too, just that little bit, starting to cost him some time to Chris up ahead, or Kyle up ahead rather.
I'll tell you what.
I swear, I'll figure out which one is which someday. I couldn't see the wheels that time, honest.
Battle at the front of the field starting to heat up a little bit here as well. Everett Paddock has closed down to within 0.3 of a second. He is most certainly in draft range of your race leader. Now the question becomes, if you're Everett Paddock, when do you want to make the move, or do you just kind of sit there? I would imagine you maybe got the tires a little bit hot trying to chase him down. Do you sit there for a couple of laps, cool everything off, and kind of just do your thing?
Oh, you're just going to sit right. Fighting isn't going to be any good. You're just going to screw both cars up. We're just going to see them sitting Woo! Wow. David scared me there. He was way off. But yeah, you're just gonna sit and wait. There's no, you're not gonna be able to run around and pull away. Just sit behind, click laps off, and then with 4 or 5 to go, then try to make your move. You've got 3 seconds to the car behind. You're good.
Yeah, there's really no incentive to go ballistic here, other than if Porcelli starts to bring you back to Ted Burns a little bit. Looking at the lap times, last lap time for Porcelli, a 1:15.76, 1:15.53 for Paddock, 1:15.54 for Teddy B. That's when you start to kind of get a little bit concerned here that is he going to push you back into Ted Burns? Now all of a sudden it becomes a 3, 4, 5 horse race because 4 through 10 are tight with each other at this point.
Yeah, but you've got some breathing space. You don't quite have to start worrying about it yet. When they start to get to within 2 seconds, then the seat starts to get a little hot. But sitting at just under 3, you're still good for a bit.
Picking up this battle back here, Chris Preston, Nicholas Daly, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Kylo Ciacelli, Richard Holt, all in a big line. Ted Burns starting to get away from them just a little bit, so we're definitely seeing Teddy B showing some pace that maybe the rest of this pack isn't. That's kind of toss-up stuff right there, though. If the gap's at 1.4 seconds, however, Ted doesn't have any drafting help anywhere. If Preston, Daly, Yoshikawa stay in line, they're going to make up a bunch of ground here pretty quick.
Yeah. Amazing to see Ted just walk away from everyone, though. I mean, they're not really fighting all that hard right now, but man, it just goes to show you, in case anyone forgot, Ted B is a wheelman.
Nagisa Yoshikawa thought about the move on Nicholas Daly, as the battle for the lead's going to stay, it's going to stay okay-ish, so we'll flip the boxes around for you here. Show you the tighter battle here in the big box. Keep the leaders up on the right-hand side of the screen for you. 18 laps to go already, 6 laps in the books, 25% down, 75% left to go. Interesting that they're about, I'll say, between 6 and 8 tenths off their qualifying laps. Is that something where this is the type of track where maybe you do have a little bit more downforce in the race setup than you would in qualifying?
Well, you have to keep in mind you're carrying a lot more fuel on, too, for the entire race distance. So, and with this being a very high-speed track, that's going to hurt you. You should start seeing the pace start to pick up lap time wise. Fuel burns out, and you're starting to get like in the perfect groove temperature wise. But yeah, it's not surprising to see such a disparity from qual pace to race pace for this week.
Looking at some of the movers and shakers, Chris Preston is up 3, Teddy B is up 2, as is Kylo Ciacelli. 3 drivers down to Nicholas Daly, Nagisa Yoshikawa, and Richard Holt. Back half of the field kind of running about in line where you would expect them to. But even you look at Wes Shire in 10th, he's still there at the tail end of this train. One mistake up towards the front could really screw things up for a whole lot of people.
Pretty much, yeah. And then you have Wes right there at the back of this train, just lurking, waiting for the freebies.
Hey, they say cheap is good, free is better. And I'll take it. Oh, let's take a look here, and we'll bring things up. We'll take a look at the battle at the front of the field here. Still sitting right about a half second between David Porcelli and Everett Paddock. This one has the potential to be huge for Everett. He's only scored 5 weeks, and one of those, I'm fairly certain, the missing week was the drop week he took at the Phoenix Oval earlier this season. As we kind of look ahead, some of these drivers have already used drop weeks, and we have got some craziness coming up. Next week is Oval Week. We're at Twin Ring Motegi. Then we head off to Spa, another very high-speed road course. Then the complete unknown of Motegi East Road Course. It's been a very long time since this series has run there. There's a lot of chances here for drivers to make up and, more importantly, lose a ton of points. We finish off the season with Iowa, Daytona, and Mosport. There's a lot of high-speed road courses here, a lot of places to make mistakes.
Yeah. I have next week circled on my calendar for maximum chaos, considering that that's going to be basically a pack race pure. So you're going to need a lot of luck that a lot of guys just cannot rely on. I'm very curious to see how next week really tips the scales.
Yeah, and quite frankly, that may be the last time we see Twin Ring Motegi on the Indy Pro 2000 schedule. With the changes that are coming to both Indy Pro 2000 and USF 2000, iRacing wants these schedules to align. So I think we're going to see a move to maybe some shorter ovals, not any, none of the bull rings or anything like that. But we're definitely going to see this championship change in some very big ways here once we get to 2023 Season 1.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be changes for the better. Like, the uniqueness of the schedule is what I think really sets this series apart. You never know what the schedule is going to look like from season to season. You're always going to get a random track or two that makes you go, oh, that's going to be interesting. So I don't think it's gonna work out all that great.
I tend to agree with you. There's already been some discussions whether we're going to be back for next season. By the way, picking up the battle here between Chris Preston and Nicholas Daly for the 4th position here on the left-hand side of your screen. We'll keep the leaders up on the right here. Well, I'll tell you what, this battle's really good, so we'll get that one up full screen. But yeah, it's definitely a change with Indy Pro or USF 2000 is going to remain fixed setup. This is going to remain open setup. But I guess the thought process is with alternating the hours, you could kind of just bounce from each car. Once you graduate out of the D-Class license to get up to the C-Class for Indy Pro, that's going to open up some options where you only have to buy the car, you already have the tracks. The theory is it's only one purchase instead of a bunch of different purchases. The tracks that are going to be really great for USF 2000 are not the same tracks that are great for Indy Pro 2000.
Yeah, and, the community is clamoring that if they want to do a cost-cutting measure to just sell the USF 2000 and the Indy Pro 2000 as one purchase, just like they do for the dirt sprint cars and the asphalt modifieds. Like, it's pretty much the same car, just different motor and slightly different wings. So some of it might work. The time and how it's staggered to where you can run both back to back, that's a good change. We've all been clamoring for that, but the same schedule, like you said, is gonna open the door up to some not great racing for a specific car and a perfect track.
Right.
Especially since
Well, like a lot of the ovals, you're going to end up with a USF car that is absolutely topped out speed-wise, where the Indy Pros are able to run them. And I'm thinking of places like Gateway are a lot like that. Anything over a mile, basically, maybe a mile and a quarter, the ovals get really tricky, but they're also reducing the number of ovals. You're only going to have 2 ovals on the schedule for Indy Pro 2000, and there's going to be a big time push towards free content is what's coming as well. That's really going to be, I will say, interesting. Free content, I guess, is always good, but it's definitely going to push to some tracks that are less popular as well.
yeah, because there aren't very many free tracks out there that are really a good viable option for the PM18. Like Muskogean, that's going to be awesome, both cars. I can't wait to see that on a future schedule. But you can only run Olton Park layouts. You can only run Oran Park layouts so much before it starts to grain on you dealing with the same track in similar configurations time in and time out. Summit appearing more on the schedule won't be a bad thing because we've seen good races, if not chaotic races from there. God help us if Summit Point Jefferson Circuit ends up on one of these schedules.
I hope so.
Mother of mercy.
That's the kind of insanity that I would be here for.
Mother of mercy. We thought races at Summit Point proper were a dumpster fire. That's going to be even worse.
I could be down for it. By the way, I'm down for this too. Battle for the race lead with 10 laps to go is now nose to tail. Everett Paddock, he's just been chilling. What's interesting is Teddy B is definitely getting hot here. His lap time is a full 0.2 quicker over the 10-lap average than David Porcelli's. It's about 2.5, quarter of a second or so faster over the 5-lap average. These two got to be careful. Teddy B's coming. You just wonder if he's going to run out of time here, still sitting about 2.5 back.
I don't think Ted's going to run out of time. I give it like 3 laps before he's on them and in this battle. What a drive from Ted. Just absolutely wringing the life out of this car. It's incredible. He was 3 seconds back. You don't make up that gap in this car. Not to the leaders in the SOF race.
No, in fact, new fastest lap of the race belongs to Teddy Burns at a 1 minute 15.368. That's 3/10 faster than he went in qualifying. Oh man, big bobble there though. Let's take a look here and also pick up this battle. Let's go back to the side-by-side. Pick up the fight between Chris Preston and Nicholas Daly. They're back swapping the 4th position again in what has been a very entertaining race with these guys. Leaders are still on the right-hand side of your screen. If they get any closer, we're going to flip the boxes around here and give you the battle for the... we'll do it now. Give you the battle for the lead in the big box. Big moment for Teddy Burns. He gave up about 0.4 seconds. Big moment at the front. New race leader heading down to that final chicane. Going to be Everett Paddock. And I'll tell you what, when we saw Chris Preston and David Porcelli doing this, they were side by side exiting that chicane. 8 laps to go. Porcelli probably backs out a hair. I don't know that he does that with 5.43 laps to go.
He's not. It's going to get real spicy.
Oh, man, Nicholas Daly back around Chris Preston as well. They're side by side. Oh, and Daly gets off the racetrack. Gave it all up. Oh, and a big bobble from Everett Paddock. He ran wide. Porcelli's going to be right there again. Man, we have got insanity all over the racetrack right now.
Oh, man. And this isn't even the beginning. These last 7 laps are going to be insane. Ted is just watching this, just licking his lips. This is exactly what Ted wants to.
Bingo. 1.5 seconds. The gap, he gained 4/10 heading into that chicane. Another 2/10 down the hill. Teddy B is within 1.2 seconds with 7 laps to go. And now what was a 2-car battle is now a 3-car battle. Nicholas Daly, Kylo Ciacelli, Richard Holt. That's 6, 7, and 8 on the right-hand side of the screen. Man, they're catching up to Nagisa as well. So that's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 on the right-hand side of the screen. Porcelli opening up a little bit of a gap here, sitting at about a half second over Everett Paddock, and the gap still about 1.2 seconds back to Ted Burns in third. I tell you what, James, one of the discussion points that we had earlier in the pre-race chat was places like Le Mans, Road Atlanta, sometimes single-class racing can be a little iffy. Multi-class racing is great. I sort of feel like we have that here. We have your top 2 or 3. They're pretty equal on speed. And then we have another pack of cars that's pretty equal on speed. They're just going to keep doing this the rest of this race.
Dare you say we have a Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Pro 1500?
I'll tell you what, if I were iRacing, I would pick a handful of weeks every year. If you're going to do this alternating schedule stuff, every third hour, make it a combined race.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to put my rating up with that. Those are some week 13 shenanigans, good sir.
Maybe. I like week 13 shenanigans.
Oh, so do I, but not when my rating thing is up. You don't want shenanigans with that.
Interesting to see Teddy B running a little bit of a different line here as we see Everett Paddock making the move for the race lead. Takes it back over from David Porcelli. Yeah, seeing Teddy B running a little bit of a different line from these two at the front, almost like a conservation of momentum type line. Trying not to scrub off any speed as opposed to trying to battle with somebody ahead of you.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh man, Ted's right there, isn't he? Within a second now.
He is within a second. He's now within 7/10. He is Paddock got off!
Off again.
Paddock bobbles off the racetrack. Porcelli's going to be right there, and Ted Burns is now within 7/10. He is going to get the full draft from these two. Gosh, he's down to a half second now. Going on board with Teddy B, trying to chase down the race leaders. Side by side between Porcelli and Paddock. Porcelli back to the lead. It's a 3-car fight. Oh, man. Teddy B, big time on the brakes there in turn number 1. He almost ran over Everett Paddock.
Oh, God. That's what's difficult, man. It's so hard to follow. It's so hard to follow here. Here, everyone having different braking zones. It's just impossible to follow. And wow, Everett really loves that wide exit.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the second or third time we've seen Everett Paddock make that wide exit there. Now with 4 to go, this completely changes the complexion of things too. A 2-car battle, you kind of figure you're going to have an idea of when the move is going to come. If with a 3rd car in the mix, the serpentine trying to break the draft, that's not necessarily going to be effective.
It's not like we've seen it at Indy. This is not gonna. It's not gonna go anywhere. You're certainly not gonna say, "Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna pass you." Oh my God, Ted!
Oh, such a gutsy spot for Teddy B to try that move. Bizzle checking in the comments on YouTube.
The most intelligent thing Patrick has ever said. I look forward to his reply, which we will probably not be able to show on air.
By the way, I have to say a huge thank you. Speaking of the Bizzler, thank you to Gary Godso for picking up the broadcast last week with us. James, hopefully you enjoyed your time in the booth with Gary, but glad I'm back here chatting with my buddy. Patrick and I were down working the Ranger Danger 9000 with Team Cletus McFarland. That was pretty epic. Man, I'll tell you what, Teddy B really wants to make the move. He wants to get the move done because trying to go 2 for 1. Oh, it's a super chat too, so I have to show it.
Oh no.
Yes, cars can make right-hand turns. Teddy B able to get around Everett Paddock while we're showing the super chat. Now, I tell you what, James, this sort of feels like game on here with 2 to go. If you're Teddy B, you got to take a lap to get caught back up to Porcelli, and then you can make the move. Because unless Porcelli bobbles, it's going to have to be a team effort here between Burns and Paddock if they want to get caught up.
Yeah, Teddy's back on quali laps here.
Man, this is exactly what they need to do, though. The gap was right about 1 second. They're gaining down into this final chicane. 2 laps to go. The gap is 0.6 of a second. If they stay in line and behave themselves, you could see Teddy B going full, full Daytona prototype into that final chicane.
Oh ho ho. Never go full Daytona prototype.
The comment from Patrick. Wait, is Ben Shadow Jesus Carswell running Road Atlanta? He is. He is in bottom split. We'll see if we can get an update from bottom split here at some point. But white flag is out, 1 lap to go. Little bit of a bobble there for Porcelli. The gap is down to 0.4 of a second. Can Ted Burns get close enough to attempt the pass? Less than half a lap to go. He's gonna be within range. Oh, this is going to be absolutely monster. Porcelli trying to cover the line. Burns is going to be right there. Oh, he squeezes up. They pinch. They almost touch. Burns up the inside. Porcelli going to fight back on the outside. Coming down to the line. Final corner. Twin checkers this time by Ted Burns. Gets the win at Road Atlanta. What a
drive by
drive
Ted.
from Ted.
Oh my God.
Wow. What a finish. Ted Burns getting the win with a bonsai move into the final chicane. They were about banging wheels.
How do you beat that?
Good luck. We haven't seen him a ton this season, but when we do, man, does Ted Burns put on a show. Porcelli, Paddock round out the podium. Preston and Daly, your top 5. While they come around to get back to the front straightaway here, let's take a look and show you tonight's race results. 85 thousandths of a second separating Ted Burns and David Porcelli here at Road Atlanta. 1.3 seconds back of your race winner is Everett Paddock in third. Chris Preston, Nicholas Daly, as we mentioned, round out the top 5. 6 through 10 going to be Nagisio Shikawa, Richard Holt, Carl Lemkool, Wes Shire.
Tyler.
Damn you, Bizzle. He says I screw Wes's name up every race, and I do it once, just when he's watching. Stephen C. Thompson going to be 11th, Mike Holler 12th, Daniel Smith 13th, Dylan Vilashinsky finishing on the lead lap in the 14th position. Sometimes I'm good at what I do. The rest of the time, you guys get me on these broadcasts. Let's take a look at, we've already got them in the waiting room. Let's get the victory lane interviews ready to roll and pick things up with race winner, Mr. Ted Burns. Good Lord, brother. A fantastic drive, gaining 4 positions. You're the hard charger of the race. 1, how are you able to run them down without any draft help? And then talk us through that last handful of laps, because that was an incredible battle you had first with Everett and then with David with 1 to go.
I mean, first off, I got to thank Downforce Racing. We made a fast car in a straight line, and that allowed me to run in the clean air and really reel those guys in. I don't think there's a faster car out there in a straight line, so big props to the team for that. And I just put my head down. I knew I had the clean air, so I could get the turn into the corners I needed, and I knew I had the straight line speed, so I just kept my head down, got in the zone, and just turned out the laps to try and reel them in. And once I got there, it was a little bit messy trying to get past Everett without losing touch of David, but we managed to get it done. And on the last lap, I nailed like turn 1 and turn 3, and David had a little bobble. It was like the most perfect I've ever done those 2 corners, and it just happened to be on the last lap, and it closed in that gap and gave me a chance on that final straightaway to draft past him.
Looking at the entry into that final chicane, did you get the 0x to pop up on the screen, or even a 2x for car contact? Because you guys were as close as you can be without the netcode gods really starting to screw with you.
Yeah, I felt a little bit of contact, but I didn't get the 0x pop up. I saw him go to the inside, and so I figured, if he's driving down there, I'm going to try and keep him there, try and squeeze him a little bit. But we ended up flaring back over and making it through those final corners cleanly, and that was a lot of fun. I think I'm still out of breath from that.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, a fantastic drive, quite frankly, as always. We're used to seeing you put on a show here. Are we going to get to see you more now that the real-world schedule might be starting to tune down a little bit?
Yeah, I sure hope so. That was still been busy all the way up until last week, so I haven't been able to make it. But my one cameo a season, from season 3 and now season 4 has been a win. So maybe I should make it a bit more regular and start showing up the rest of the season, race with you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you much for showing up tonight, man. You put on a heck of a show. We really appreciate it. And before we let you go, get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous in as well.
No problem. First off, got to thank Downforce Racing for that rocket ship of a setup. Love to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast every week. I love watching it, tuning in even when I'm on the road. So it's a lot of fun to see that and everyone that races the series and makes it such a fun car.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate it so much having you come hang out with us here. And, man, that was fun. I think the guy that we're about to talk to next here maybe had a little bit less fun. David Porcelli, congratulations on a great run. You led 21 laps tonight. Everett took a couple from you, and then ultimately the one that mattered went to Teddy B. But fantastic drive. The car looked really good. And talk us through the night, man, because it was really cool to watch you from where we were sitting.
Yeah, super mixed feelings about this evening. I mean, I'm really proud of my performance. I know I put down some solid laps, and I really had some strong pace today. I was really impressed with Teddy's pace to be able to catch us back up, and especially what he was able to do there on the last lap. Gutted to lose the win that I, felt like I had locked in so definitively with such a strong start, and really holding my own through the battles. To not come home first is leaves a feeling in the chest. That being said, I know that this is what I needed to do this evening in terms of points, and so in that category, it's a win for me.
Yeah, that one's big because when we look at the numbers a little bit, Chris came home fourth, and quite frankly, a little bit of a surprising fourth after where he qualified. Nagisa finishing sixth. These are the kind of finishes that really add up to championships in the end. You can't win every week, so you maximize the nights that you don't.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was after this evening. I saw Teddy coming on the relative. I knew Everett and I were going back and forth, but I had enough control of that battle to make sure that he was behind me when Teddy caught us, so that I wouldn't lose a touch of first place. And I was really hoping that their battle would create enough of a separation that I could sort of just cruise home. It looks like I cruised a little bit too much, so congratulations to Teddy for the win. Thanks to Everett and everyone for an awesome race. Yeah, I think I'm going to sleep well tonight after that one.
Absolutely. A very nice run for you. Good podium finish. Great points night. And before we let you go here, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous in too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Team Watson Racing, Satellite Racing. Shout out to Racecraft One Indianapolis. Hi to the family. What's up, Brianna? I love you. Thanks everyone for checking out the stream. Be sure to check out National Racing Network. They put on an awesome broadcast for us every week, and it's what produces these amazing strength of field races. So yeah, thanks so much for the broadcast, guys, and I hope to see you in the booth next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Thank you much for the kind words too. We appreciate it. Let's bring up our third place finisher here tonight before we get into the point standings and all. But Everett Paddock, not a bad night, man. The car was good, on pace at the front here, and talk us through how the night went for you.
Well, I know one thing. It went better than last week. I kept all four wheels on it, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, I see. I wasn't here to see the race last week, but I will take your word for it. It is always good when all four wheels are on it and you're standing on the podium. Got to be a pretty good feeling here. Obviously, entering the night, you were 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever it was in points. Sitting 7th in points now, not necessarily in championship contention, but this is a big-time improvement night with how tight that kind of 3rd through 10th is going to be in the point standings.
Yeah, well, I think that'll shake out. There's a lot of drop weeks and stuff, and I had a couple of bad weeks. I think, I've got to didn't leave myself much room for error here, but I can still get myself back into, in the sniff in the podium, I think.
Yeah, that's something we're looking forward to seeing as we get a little bit later on in the season. And next week we head off to Twin Ring Motegi. What are your thoughts there? James and I were talking about it a little bit. Feels like it might be a full-on pack race. What do you think we're going to see? That's a big oval for these cars.
You know what? James would have a better idea. I'm just going to, strap in and see what happens. I haven't run any laps there, so it's all going to be new to me.
All right, buddy. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much for putting on a great show here to get us up on the podium. And before we let you go, make sure you get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Yeah, I just want to thank my teammates at TNT Racing. didn't look like Russ could make it tonight. It's too bad. Thanks you guys for putting on the broadcast tonight, and thanks to the community managers of the PM8 team. They had a good run there. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, bud. You too. We're looking forward to next week for sure here, James. We talked about it a little bit briefly with Everett, and quite frankly, we discussed it a little bit as well. Everett making an interesting point here, talking about some of the drop weeks and some of that kind of stuff. The points battle right now is 150 points between David Porcelli and Chris Preston. Porcelli keeps doing what he's doing. The drop weeks are not going to matter one bit.
No, David's having a heck of a run. It's still waiting to see. Like, you can never truly count out Everett Paddock, so the season isn't anywhere close to being over. But yeah, David's on a heck of a run right now.
Yeah, in fact, the points have updated here. 12 starts, 6 wins, 10 top 5 finishes. Average start is second, average finish is third for Porcelli. It's been an impressive year. Matt Wagner is checking in the comments. I do want to get this one on the air before we go as well, but Wags is saying, I'd rather race here in GT3s, no offense. If you're going to put prototypes out there with them, sure. I
Agreed.
Other than that, man, this is a very, very good track for the very light, nimble open wheelers. Indy cars, I don't know that they put on a great show at Road Atlanta. It's a little bit narrow, a lot of really important to hit your marks, and when you're at those kind of crazy speeds, might be a good show. But for these Indy Pro 2000 cars, this place is fantastic.
It really is. And I know we've talked about it a lot, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing how much of a dumpster fire next week is. Watch,
yeah.
Watch, that's going to be the one SOF race I don't get killed in. How?
That's right. You will be in-car reporting for us next week. It's Oval Week for the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
I will. Much screaming and pants destroying will be happening.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, well, it's time for us to get on out of here. The week is already wrapped up with No Sim Racers Club, only the Thursday night shows, but good show tonight from Burt Wojcik and Adam Rubright on the High Side Hustle. They'll be back next week with a preview of the World Finals down there in Charlotte for the World of Outlaws sprint cars, late models, the big block modifieds. World Finals weekend at Charlotte is just, quite frankly, epic. You don't want to miss that one. Also, I'm going to try to talk to a National Open winner coming up. One night stand for $75,000 coming up at the Williams Grove Speedway on Friday night. I'm looking forward to that one. With that, though, time for us to get the heck on out of here. It's been a fun show. Looking forward to doing more of it with you next week. For James Watson and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name's Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.